Dear media representatives, we are ready to start Ministers' press conference. So first I will give word to each of the ministers for their statements, and then we will have time for questions and answers. So please, as first, Minister of Defense of Republic of Latvia, Mr. Andris Sprūts.
Dear colleagues, Ruben, Luke, Theo, dear media representatives, it is a great pleasure today welcome everyone at the Drone Summit, the first Drone Summit, which has been already underlined as a unique event, welcoming more than 1,500 representatives of industry, of startups, of innovation, of universities, armed forces, governments. Around 100 companies are also being represented here, so that's why certainly we are happy about a strong turnout, about the presence, about what we are doing together, because at the very end there is a goal which is not, of course, about a drone summit. It is about providing Ukraine with those necessary drone technologies. It is about building our own drone industry, about cooperating among drone entrepreneurs, cooperating among the partners, members. So that's why once more I can express my gratitude, my appreciation to the colleagues, ministers, for already co-leading and contributing strongly and joining. So this is important that we are all the time driving forward the coalition. Coalition is moving forward actively, efficiently. As I mentioned, we are 20 members, 18 plus 2 members joining steering committee, still must formally accept it, but I am absolutely sure that we will be more than happy to, of course, accept also in the steering committee. So we speak about 20 member states in the drone coalition, so the numbers are ever increasing. They also financial contributions, 2 billion last year, around 2 billion, so more than 2 billion this year, so it's altogether 4 billion. So thousands of drones are being already provided to Ukraine. We are adjusting in the process, starting from simple drones to in the quantity, but at the same time moving forward also with the quality and more sophisticated systems as well, so which is important. We're adjusting to the needs. We can express gratitude to co-leading nation, the UK, also for leading the fund, which is providing the framework for the common procurement procedures. This is a pan-European the coalition framework, which is very important, so also the countries contributing to that framework. So this year more additionally 100 million are being invested in the fund, so which exactly that provides a good platform for cooperating among the industry. Last but not least, of course, I would like to say a few words also on Latvia. We are believing that the drone industry, the drone coalition, the drone army, the drone capability is absolutely crucial, instrumental for all of us. We are willing to, of course, co-lead with our partners, with UK and our other partners as well, the drone coalition. We are willing to contribute, invest strongly in drone industries and in drone capabilities as such. We are investing in developing testing grounds, so the drone coalition is also using that, taking advantage of the facilities what Latvia can provide in terms of testing. We are building our drone competence center, so that's why we absolutely believe the drone coalition is about supporting Ukraine, but it's about beyond it. It's also about building the ecosystem, building transformative character of armed forces, also how we cooperate among ourselves, governments, armed forces, industry, innovative centers within a like-minded community. So, but once more, thanks to our colleagues, thanks to everyone for joining the Drone Coalition. It's extremely important. Drone Summit today, it's extremely important. It's a strong demonstration of solidarity and understanding that drones are absolutely instrumental, indispensable part of the armed forces and also building resilience among our societies and building security for our people. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Minister. As next, Minister of the Armed Forces, United Kingdom, Mr. Luke Pollard.
Thank you, Andris. Colleagues, thank you so much for co-leading the drone coalition. With Latvia, the United Kingdom has had an incredibly strong partner in investing in and developing new drone technologies for Ukraine to make sure that we're keeping Ukraine in the fight tonight, but also developing the capabilities that they will need tomorrow as well. We've seen this coalition grow, and we've seen the coalition deliver more and more capabilities to Ukraine. In the coming year, we need to see a continuing ramping up of the speed, the agility and the technical innovations with the drones that we are not just providing to our friends in Ukraine, but we're also developing for our own militaries as well. Drone warfare really is the future of our collective defence as NATO members, but they're also the way that Ukraine can stay in the fight. And if you look at the number of deaths that we're now seeing on the front line, there are now more Russians being killed with first-person view drones than with artillery. That is a reflection of the innovation and the usage of drones that we're seeing on the front line, but it's also a challenge to all our militaries as well, about how we adapt to make sure that the United Kingdom Armed Forces, our coalition armed forces, NATO partners are learning the lessons from what we are seeing in Ukraine and are able to operationalise that not just in the kit and equipment that we field in deterrence against any threat to NATO, but to defeat it if necessary, but also how we train our people in making sure they have the skills, the knowledge, and can learn from what those incredibly brave and courageous people on the Ukrainian front line are doing in opposing Putin's illegal invasion. There is really an opportunity here not just to support Ukraine, but to modernise our own militaries so NATO really is able to deter any future aggression against any of our members in the future. Drone warfare will play a critical part in all of that, and that's why it's so good to be here today alongside close friends Latvia, but Belgium and the Netherlands as well, to make the case that investing in this area is not just good for Ukraine. Investing in drones is also an engine for growth for all our domestic industries, creating good, well-paid, innovative jobs in all our countries. So huge opportunities ahead, but also absolutely vital that we continue that investment to keep Ukraine in the fight tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. As next, Minister of Defense, Kingdom of the Netherlands, Mr. Ruben Brekelmans.
Thank you. I would also like to start by thanking Latvia and particularly my friend Andris personally for taking such a leading role on this important coalition and also on the topic of drones. I would like to make 3 points. One is first and foremost, of course, about Ukraine. I've been to Kharkiv in the fall and to the Dnipro in the spring, and every time that I talk to Ukrainians, they keep telling me we need to have drones. That's the only way that we can defend ourselves against the massive size of the Russian aggression in terms of men, weapon systems, ammunition. The only way that we can defend cities like Kiev and Kharkiv, but also that Ukraine can hold the line at the front line in the Donbass, for example, is through drones. And what we see from the Russian side is that they are now able to combine innovation, shared drones, with scale. We have seen the major attacks over the last couple of days, 300 drones every night, and we need to support Ukraine in order to make sure that they can defend themselves against these massive attacks. We do this, of course, on a bilateral level. Also, as the Netherlands, we have a big action plan on drones for Ukraine. Over 1 billion we have allocated so far. But what we need much more also is coordination, because we as different countries are doing the same thing among each other, and we need to make sure there's more coordination. That's why the drone coalition is also playing such an important role. So very important that Latvia and the UK are taking a lead in this. Second reason why I'm here is also to emphasize again that we do not only need to focus on Ukraine, but that regardless of what's happening there, is that the Russian aggression will continue and will only grow. So we need to make sure that we have our collective defense and our collective deterrence in order. We are 1 month ahead of the Hague NATO summit. I think it's very important that we also demonstrate there that we are committed to our collective defense and that we are willing to step up in order to also make it future-proof. What I also just said, you know, your security borders, your borders are our security borders, and we need to emphasize this over and over again to show also towards Russia the strategic message that, you know, you can grow your military capabilities, you can grow your military strength, but we will always be stronger, and we will make sure that there is no sense to attack one of our NATO allies. And third and finally, it's not only about security, there's also a big economic opportunity there. We are here today as the Netherlands with 43 countries. It's the biggest trade delegation to Latvia ever. And I think it shows how much potential there is. There is a lot of potential in terms of further innovation, a lot of potential in creating more jobs. And I think it's also important when we talk about more defense spending and investing more in our security, that we also show that there's also a lot of economic perspective coming with this. And I think that's what we are also doing here today, to also see where the complementarities are, where we can work together, to make sure that we do not do the same thing in every single country, that we make sure that we combine our strengths, combine our capabilities, combine our ideas, to make sure that we are both stronger and that we will grow economically.
Thank you, Minister. That's next, Minister of Defense, Kingdom of Belgium, Mr. Theo Franken.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you, Andres, for the invitation. I'm the new kid on the block, so we're just getting. We had an invitation, so the membership, when it is agreed upon by the steering committee, Belgium will join the coalition. For me, drone technology is the future of warfare. It's like the gunpowder in the 100 Years' War. It is like the Industrial Revolution was for World War I, and it's like the nuclear position and the nuclear capacity was for World War II. This is for the Ukrainian-Russian war. This is absolutely drone warfare. So you cannot miss the train. Otherwise, you're fighting the war before, and then you will lose. So I think it's very important to get on the train as nation, but also as a coalition, as an alliance with NATO, with European Union, and we need to support Ukraine. We're very forward-leaning. When there's a coalition of the willing, when there's a ceasefire, where I personally don't think there will be, but when there will be one, Belgium will join that coalition of the willing as well. So I think that it's important with the new government that we're to show really that Belgium is a reliable partner on the international security level. Belgium is one of the founding fathers of NATO, but we weren't the best pupil of the NATO class the last decades. So we need to step up, and the new government will be having the 2%, will of course do the pledge in Den Haag. And the 5% we need to negotiate a bit about how that will work out and what the timeline is, but we will finally step up, and we will really be a reliable international security partner again, like we always were. Because we have NATO headquarters, we have SHAPE military headquarters in our country. We have a lot of economic profits of having NATO in Belgium. So we will be a really good NATO ally and a good ally to Ukraine. And that means that we're joining also this coalition. We're joining the IT coalition as well. So that means that we're pretty much in every single coalition. F-16 coalition, of course, demining coalition. We're one of the leading nations. So we're really trying to put a lot of effort in supporting Ukraine and be a reliable partner for this gentleman here on my left side. So thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Thank you, all ministers. Now I'll open the floor for questions and answers. Please also state your name and the agency you represent. Please, here we had the first hand. Yes, please.
Mike Collier, Latvian Public Media. Question for Minister Sprūds, I suppose. You mentioned in the hall a few minutes ago that as well as Belgium, Turkey is set to join the coalition. Has that been sort of signed off as well, or could you give us some details on when it's likely to be finalized?
Yes, to put it shortly, they have also applied for the coalition. So the steering committee will review the papers, and I am absolutely sure that both countries, Belgium and Turkey, will be full-fledged members of the coalition. Of course, we are very happy to have new members, to have new contribution, to have new drive. So it once more demonstrates the understanding of supporting Ukraine, understanding that drone technologies are playing a crucial role in this, and of course contribute to the general strength of the coalition as such. So that's why we're also very grateful for member states willing to join the forces. At the very end, it's a teamwork, it's a joint effort to support collective support to Ukraine.
And let me add, it's also because of the personal leadership of Minister Sprūds, because every NATO meeting that we have, every EU meeting when we talk about this, we're talking about the drone coalition and how important it is. And I think it's also because of his personal leadership that it's one of the most active and I think one of the biggest coalition with 20 countries not only signed their participation but also very active in this. So I'm very thankful for the role that you have.
Many thanks for the kind words, but of course at the very end it's a teamwork, so we are very grateful
I know.
all states joining. So thank you so much.
Please.
Because we believe in our mission to do a good job.
Sure.
Hello there, Tom Barton from Janes. A question for Mr. Sprudz. You mentioned testing of drones, and from what I've followed, Latvia's been quite a leader in that, and I think you've commissioned new test ranges. Could you just tell us a little bit more about what your plans are? Are you opening new ranges and new facilities for that? And for Mr. Pollard, the competitions you've been doing as part of the Drone Coalition, what plans do you have there? Have you been looking at making them bigger or faster? How has that been?
Yeah, thank you so much. Absolutely, the testing is crucial. Testing is crucial, of course, for the drone coalition. Testing is crucial for industry. Testing is crucial for the armed forces, so where we obtain when we revise and review the best potential products and supplies. So that's why testing absolutely is crucial in this regard. And we are building the whole procedures how to test nationally, but also, of course, how to make the efficient testing within a drone coalition. Yes, we are opening the new facilities. We have, of course, already the military range in Adaži, and we are doing testing in Adaži military range. But since we are opening the biggest testing grounds in the Baltic countries, already now it starts to function as a drone testing grounds. So we already do testing in this military range, which is the biggest one in the Baltic countries right now. We have some advantages, namely that to switch on electronic warfare, for instance, it is not so easy on a continent. So here, of course, we are able also to provide such facilities which are able to implement the testing in different varieties. At the same time, we have also the urban areas, specific urban, the military ranges with urban elements. So I think that it is important also to provide the testing grounds in different kind of capacities for different kind of drones, for different kind of actual exercises. Last but not least, if the last year and this year was in a drone coalition, of course, the drone coalition is mostly focused on the aerial drones, aerial automated unmanned systems. Then also this year we are opening the testing grounds for the ground drones and for the sea drones. In June we will have the first massive national testing for the sea drones as well in Šķēde near Liepāja. So we are also opening the next, in a sense, stages of the testing, providing the testing also for different kind of drones, not only aerial drones.
Excellent. As the UK co-leads not just the drone capability coalition, but also the maritime capability coalition, that's not just about frigates and destroyers and minesweepers. That's about using the disruptive power that drone technology and autonomy can bring to increase lethal effect. And we're seeing that not just over the past year in terms of the procurements that the United Kingdom has been helping lead, providing drone technology to our friends in Ukraine, but we've seen the way that these procurement competitions have been run has been developing an ecosystem within drone technology across the continent and in the United Kingdom, Latvia in particular, where companies are feeling able to innovate, able to challenge the status quo and established thinking. And certainly it's our intention to continue that pace of change because we need to speed up the delivery of more capabilities to Ukraine. If we are to do that, the best way of doing that is by pooling not just our expertise but our enthusiasm, but also our funds as well. And I would say that the competitions, the procurement, has gone hand in hand with the way that partners, especially those on the table here, have been able to fund drone procurement and fund it on the basis that they are buying for Ukraine quick, speedily procured, effective drone technology, especially that is proven. Because at the moment, if you are a drone company, and you are not having your kit on the front line in Ukraine, you might as well give up because there is a proven place where we can see the effectiveness of Western drone technology. That is in the hands of those brilliant operators in Ukraine. And what we've done as part of the procurements is create that ecosystem to onboard new companies and new thinking, new component parts at speed with a way that is flexible and fairly funded. It really has been a model that is a success and one that has been built on the fact that nations are cooperating together. Yes, it drives growth in our own economies, but it also keeps Ukraine in the fight. And together, I think we'll be seeking to further enhance not just the international collaboration that we are doing, but how we can bring more drones, new capabilities to market, especially making sure that they are not just on the design board for months and years, but they're in the hands of Ukrainian operators within weeks.
Thank you. Okay, yep.
Aaron Eglitis, Bloomberg News. My question to Mr. Pollard. How big of a role will drones play in the UK defense review? And secondly, could you comment on the decision to remove restrictions on weapons like Storm Shadow so that Ukraine can fire those into Russia? What kind of impact do you think that will have?
Great stuff. Thank you. You're inviting me to steal someone else's sandwiches, as we would say in Britain, about the defence review. The defence review is in an advanced stage. It will be published very shortly. And what that defence review will seek to do is to adapt the UK armed forces to meet the challenges we're facing today. That will be increasingly moving us to an all-domain basis where all our forces work together to deliver kinetic effect and greater deterrence. It will be making sure that we have a mix of crewed and uncrewed systems, and combined with reforms to the way the Ministry of Defence works and the way that we procure, is how do we make the most of our increasing defence budget. So we'll be spending 2.5% of our GDP by April 27, 3% in the next Parliament, and the Strategic Defence Review will set out how that will be spent, and how we will reshape our armed forces. And certainly having the Defence Review being led by Lord George Robertson, the former Secretary General of NATO, it should be no surprise to anyone that the United Kingdom will be having a NATO-first approach to defence. And I think that is incredibly important, not just for making sure that we are supporting our friends in Ukraine, but supporting our friends on the eastern flank of NATO to make sure that we are not only continuing and enhancing our arrangements with Baltic states, but also supporting the newer members of NATO as well to fully integrate themselves. And there'll be more announced in due course when it comes to that. When it comes to the high-end capabilities that we've provided to Ukraine, our capabilities are provided on the assumption that all those capabilities are used in conjunction with international humanitarian law, and will continue to support our friends to get the capabilities they need to keep their freedom in play.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Sinead Baker with Business Insider. One of the things that kept coming up in my conversations with some of the companies here today was that they wanted to work in ways that reduced or completely excluded the reliance on China, but also the US. I'm wondering how much of a priority is that for you, anyone who wishes to speak, your company's drones technologies working without the US, without China involved?
It was for all ministers, so whoever can open.
Well, I think I will be short. Ruben will jump in. United States is our strategic partner. We would be more than happy to continue our cooperation with United States. There are also United States companies here in the summit, so we're very happy about this. Of course, we can also mutually learn, even though United States are not officially part of the drone coalition, but we have mutually learn in terms of the technologies and in terms of also supporting Ukraine. As for China, the NATO strategic concept says it clearly: Russia is a threat, China is a challenge. So that's why, of course, for us, when we move to the next stage of our military industry, our military capabilities, providing Ukraine also with support, developing our own cooperative efforts, it is important to increase and ensure the security of supply. So that's why we should certainly look within a community of like-minded, so how we also provide the necessary elements, necessary components in terms of the components for the important parts also for the drone technologies. We realize that there are still some supplies and some things coming from China. I would say perhaps it's not always completely decoupling, but de-risking is absolutely important in this regard. So we are able to produce and replace, if necessary, also some of the technologies, some of the supplies what we receive from China.
And maybe to add, so it's more and more about skill now, also for the more advanced drones. And in those types of drones, you need rare earth materials, you need all sorts of components that, in which China, of course, has built a strong position. I recently spoke to a Dutch drone manufacturer, and he told me, I tried to, the ABC rule, I used the ABC rule, anything but China. So there was no component from China. And of course, you know that maybe it's not some of the subcomponents or one of the materials that are used can still be from China, but you can go down the value chain and see, okay, then where are those vulnerabilities? So I think what's not in our procurement system yet is that we take those strategic vulnerabilities into account sufficiently. But of course, it is a strength. If a company can say, okay, I'm not dependent on China or any other country, I do have these strategic inventories in order to be able to produce at scale. So I think the challenge for us is to make sure that we value that strategic independency in our procurement in a way that, you know, that we are not sending the wrong message to China, because in the end we still need to work with China at different levels. And that's the balance that we need to find.
Okay, next question.
Alexander Welscher from the German press agency. I have a question to Mr. Sprutz. Maybe I missed the number, but could you repeat once more how many drones have been delivered to Ukraine already by the drone coalition, and how much more Ukraine can expect over the years? And another question to the Dutch minister. You mentioned the hike summit, which NATO is aiming to agree on a new military defense spending aim. What kind of aim you are guessing is feasible, what you can agree on? Are the 5% within reach or not? Thank you.
Okay, the numbers are which have been provided and also in a process of being supplied. It's around 100,000. But immediately I must mention there are countries which are very careful and discreet about the numbers. It's also, of course, the drones differ from the drones, so there are different kinds of drones, and of course also the drone coalition as such is adjusting to the needs of the drone coalition, especially, of course, to the needs of Ukrainian side. So which means also that the initial numbers, when we had ambitious numbers also to reach actually 1 million, so we realized that it is above all, it is about Ukrainian needs, and also coalition adjusting to those needs. So it means also that more sophisticated, more special type of drones are coming in, communication systems are coming in, also part of the drone coalition. So that's why it is much wider ecosystem. It's not just about the numbers, always must be remembered. Numbers are important, but this is not the only criteria for the success of the drone coalition. So actually the efficiency is more crucial. The battlefield, the cutting edge efficiency is more crucial than just pure numbers. But numbers, of course, are also important. So because at the very end, we are also valuing as one of the criteria success in numbers.
Yes, regarding the NATO summit, so we are 1 month before the summit, and it does seem that it's very close. On the other hand, there's still quite some time if you look at it from a diplomatic perspective. I think where we are right now is that, of course, NATO headquarters, and we try to support as a host country to assess the different positions of the 32 allies. And of course, some proposals have been going around in the media, the 3.5%, 1.5%. But that's of course one part of it. It's also about the year in which you set this goal, the trajectory towards this goal, the definitions that you use. So I think we are now still in this phase of assessing what the different positions are and how can we converge the different starting points and the different opinions from 32 countries. And I expect that in the upcoming weeks there will be a moment that NATO will propose a clear package, so to say, or a proposal, and then countries need to say yes or no. But we are not there yet, so we are still in this earlier phase. I think what is the most important is that it's going to be a successful summit in terms of that we will raise our ambitions. So last summit was about 2%. It's not a target, but it's a floor. If we move to a much higher percentage, I think that would be an historic step. But as important is that we will show unity at this summit with 32 allies. So I think it's good that we now take the time to have these conversations among ourselves, where can we land, so that the NATO summit, that when we are there, that we will project and we show unity. And I'm sure that we will get there, but it's a bit early now to say what percentage in what year and maybe what type of trajectory.
Thank you. Yes.
My name is Yuris Kaja. Can you hear me? Yeah. From the Spanish global news agency EFI. I have two questions, one to the co-chairman of the coalition. Are you looking for new members now that you've just got Turkey, you just got Belgium in? There must be countries out there who also would have the skills and contribution. Who would you like to have and who is applying? The other question is, how is the demand side for drones changing? We started off, they were delivering FPV drones, the ones that don't come back. And then now we are delivering drones that run on fiber optics. And then there's also the possibility that drones that are entirely autonomous and run on artificial intelligence and can identify and make decisions about targets themselves. So where are we going in those directions?
Do you want to take that first? Let me say it is great news that we have new members wanting to join the drone coalition. And I think the reason that we have nations wanting to join is because they can see the effectiveness of what the drone coalition is delivering. Because for me, my measure of success of the drone coalition is not how many flags we can put on a big block to show the members, is the fact that every single member of the drone coalition is actively contributing, both in terms of funding, but also in terms of industrial expertise and innovation. And for me, the success of the drone coalition is how we bring those together. And so we know that there are nations out there that have skills and expertise that could contribute to the work that we are doing. We also know that within the coalition ourselves, we have sufficient funding, sufficient expertise, sufficient industrial capacity to deliver what we need to. Our challenge, as the Minister from Latvia set out in his earlier remarks, is how do we bring that online faster? How do we make sure that we're being more effective in terms of doing that, learning from what's happening in Ukraine and delivering that across our industrial ecosystems and policy choices we're making? In terms of the demand side question that you asked, it's clear from our point of view that there will be an increasing demand from Ukraine, but also from our own militaries, for the disposable end of drones, so using drones as ammunition, all the way through to the high-end effectiveness of drones. And what we mustn't do is allow ourselves to lock ourselves out of the wide range of drone capabilities by just having a debate or a narrative that focuses on one part of that, be that an ISR drone or an FPV drone. We need the capability and the expansive thinking, the innovation that allows us to innovate from the cheap and cheerful end of the market through to the high end to deliver the effectiveness that our friends in Ukraine need, but also how a NATO military would fight using drone technologies. And that is probably a combination of all those different levels. I think increasingly you'll see more demand signals, not just from the parts of our armed forces and militaries that support Ukraine, but from how we retrofit the learnings onto our existing armed forces. And that is what we must do at speed, at scale, but by learning the procurement lessons in particular, so we don't procure drones in the way that we used to procure weaponry, that we procure drones for our own forces with the agility and the confidence that we've been able to do for our friends in Ukraine.
Thank you. Now we have time for one last question, if we have any. Okay.
For Mr. Sprudz, about the drone wall, Finland, Baltics, Poland, will the drone coalition have any role in funding the drone wall? because as I understand it, the EU won't fund that. And then lastly, for Mr. Franken, what do you think Belgium will bring to the drone coalition?
The drone coalition is, of course, first of all and above all, supporting Ukraine. So that's why, of course, we provide technologies, we provide drones, we provide expertise, we invest in Ukrainian industry, in Ukraine, for Ukraine. So that's a primary goal. But of course, as already we discussed, a drone coalition goes beyond in terms of innovation, in terms of the technologies, in terms of international member cooperation. So certainly we can use that knowledge. We can use that expertise to build also the next steps in building, strengthening our own armed forces, and also moving forward with new initiatives, such as potentially drone war. As for Europe, I would still say that there are a number of initiatives within EU, initiatives also within white paper, focusing on mobility and counter-mobility, focusing on drones and counter-drone technologies, on technologies in general. So that's why I'm still very hopeful that EU will incorporate those new trends within its thinking, and it already has incorporated, but also will find adequate funding for the actually strengthening common border of EU and NATO in this regard, and also in terms of not only counter-mobility measures on the ground, but also in air. So yes, we are moving forward with the idea and implementation. It has been a primary task in this case of the Ministers of Interior, but of course it's at the very end, it's a primary task of all governments, which are the frontline countries, to protect, defend the Latvia's, Lithuania's, Estonia's, Finnish, Polish border, but at the same time also external border of EU and NATO. So that's why at the very end it's a joint effort. And again, the sort of the knowledge which we acquired within the drone coalition certainly can be also taken advantage of within a building additional initiatives, for instance, such a drone wall.
Yes, what can Belgium deliver? We have a package voted upon 1 week ago, 2 weeks ago, concluded upon within our Conseil des Ministres. So I think that that's 1 billion euros, and there's a lot of drone technology already in. For example, we have Exhale Robotics, who is doing demining drones in the sea. We have a lot of other companies already working on drones. We have test range also, so I think we can be a good partner within the coalition. We have to figure this out. We have to work. We have to sit together and conclude some good collaboration. But there's a good will, and there's open arms on the other side. So I think that we will be good friends.
Thank you. Thank you, ministers. Thank you, media representatives. I now conclude the press conference. However, if you have such wish, you may approach ministers for individual interviews. There are a couple minutes for that as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much.